Hello, I'm Victoria with Wow Pilates. Today I'm at Petaluma East Club Pilates to get a full body workout on the Wunda chair. So the best way to get a good workout on this chair is to understand the cactus. The higher you put these springs on, the more resistance for the exercise you're doing. And as you add the spring, it even creates more resistance. Now granted, when you work on the Wunda chair, actually it's harder when you have less resistance. So as we do our workout today, we'll explore a little of that concept, okay? So I like to start with the footwork for our warm-up, and I like to start with 2 springs on number 3. I'm going to turn my chair around here and put it on this mat because we have a wood floor so it stays stable. And then I'm going to have a seat on my chair. I'm going to start with the footwork that we normally do on a reformer with heels on, hip width apart, and parallel. Now the key with the Wunda chair is using your core to stabilize your torso as you push this down. So it's not about how far you push it down, or the more springs you put on, the harder your legs work, because actually the more springs that you add on, you'll get more of this trying to push it down and push you back. So the key is to use your core. Imagine you got a spring lifting you up, and you can even hold on the chair if you need to, and push down. Breathe out as you push down. Sit up with the best posture. Try not to lean forward. Try not to get pushed back. Breathe out as you go down. Breathe in as you come up. You can do little things like little pulses. A little bit harder because the rapid movement, the more you feel like you need the bob, right? And the core is really working to prevent the bobbing. Actually, I think the smaller the movements, the harder the work is, truthfully. But anyway, here we are. And now we're going to bring it up, and we can come on to the toes, and we'll wear these high heels. Again, staying up nice and tall, push down and up. Again, you're not trying to get the pedal to the floor. You're just trying to stay in the work. You will feel this in the legs, and the core is what's stabilizing you. And again, you can do little tiny pulses. Try not to rock. And then we'll bring it up. We're already on our toes. We'll just bring our heels together. The knees will open up, and we are in Pilates first. So all this is like the footwork we do on the reformer. You might be able to push down a little bit more into the work to try to get a little bit more inner thigh squeeze. Again, the key is just sitting up straight, not bobbing, really firing those leg muscles. And little pulses if you like, really gets everything firing. And then when you come on up onto the heels, for the last part is into the round robin. We did all our foot positions. And again, Pilates first. And little pulses. And then slowly bring it up so it doesn't slam up, because the pedal is what the work is. And we're going to come on off this chair. I'm going to add a box to do our single leg work. And I'd like to put that on the back side. And because I'm doing single leg work, I'm going to take off one of the springs. So just one spring on number 3 works for me. Now the springs are, you have to vary it. But remember, the lesser the springs, the actual is more the work, because your core has to stabilize, okay? The more springs, you have something to push against. Less springs, you get more of this rocky, bobby stuff, and you got to take that out. And the core is the only choice to take that out. So it's not like usual workout. So this one I'm going to do for single leg work. I'm going to come on here. I'm going to straddle a little bit, sit up nice and tall. Now the key with this work is to keep the pelvis nice and still. So when this leg goes down, I'm not going to dip down or let it push me back, right? All this is, again, the core works by stabilizing. Single leg work, heel, little bit of a turnout just because of the way you're sitting. And you'll really feel this in the gluteus minimus back here, in the back end, down the hamstrings. And you can do little pulses. And again, the little work is the hard part because you have to try not to rock. That's where the core stability work comes in. And then we'll come up onto the toes, wear your high heel, and again, go down and up. Use the core, keep your hips as stable as possible, no hip hiking. So when this knee comes up, a lot of times people's hip likes to hike, and the core prevents that from happening. You can even set your hands onto your hips to help maintain that. You're really feeling it, really good for these gluteus minimus muscles, piriformis, and of course you can do little pulses. I'm feeling it. And then bring it up, and we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to have my back to you a little bit just to get the other leg, the equal opportunities here. So I'm just going to turn here, start with my heel, and again, the focus is sitting up nice and tall, best posture. You can see me from the back position, watching my spine. And little pulses. And then finally I go up onto the toe, wear my high heels. And pushing down into it, and little pulses. And then come on up. Nice. So that was our footwork. We're going to move on to a nice little plank. So planks are a great way to warm up the core. So we're going to start with an easy plank first, and the hands are right on top of the chair, and I step back, and I'm going to go into a plank. And I'm going to zip up into the core, nice strong plank. Pull in the rib cage. You could do it here on the hands. If you want to save your wrists, you can come down on the elbows. That's fine. You want to try to hold a plank for about a minute, okay? And this is really nice to do. Then, to make this a little bit more challenging for yourself, we're going to add on that other spring to 3. So we got 2 springs on 3, and this is called a suspended plank. And this is when things get a little bit more challenging. So you're going to start with 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. You're going to push down, hold it there, try to keep it there without letting it move up and down, and bring the other leg back. And you really have to engage the core, squeeze up into the glutes, pull that belly button in, knit those rib cages in, and try not to let this pedal move anymore. And don't forget to breathe. To come out of this safely after you've done at least 30 seconds, a minute is really fun. You're going to bring 1 foot forward and slowly bring the pedal up so it doesn't slam up. So as I said, as we get less springs, the work gets harder, right? So I had 2 springs on there on 3 to really brace against for this work. Now I'm going to drop it down to 2 springs on 2. If you could do 1 on 3, good for you. But so there's less resistance pushing back. Whew, this really wants to move. I have to really engage my core so it doesn't, and I can suspend it and stabilize it. And breathe. And holding this is really challenging. At least 30 seconds is wonderful. Minute is great. Okay? So that's how the springs work. We are going to go ahead and move down into some bridge work. So for my bridge, I'm going to take off one and bring one onto three, okay? So I'll have more power because now my legs are going to be doing work. And I'm going to lay down onto the floor. And I'm going to bring one foot on top of this and lay down. Get into a nice neutral position. Nice little space here between my back and the mat to make sure I'm in the natural spine. And then pull this down. So as I pull it down, I kind of have to adjust myself and hold it down here in this position. So just holding this pedal down with the resistance, I can feel my hamstrings and my glutes firing. I want to stay in my neutral spine. My hands are down at my side to help me, and I'm going to lift my hips all the way up to the ceiling. And this is our bridge work that we normally do on the reformer. And we come down one vertebrae at a time, breathe out, starting with the T-point, the middle of your back. Each vertebrae comes down and slowly rolling through the spine. Try to keep that pedal down the whole time as you roll through the spine. Articulate, and you can articulate up too. Peel away from the mat to come up. Breathe out. And slowly come down. As you breathe out, try to keep the pedal down. This is the work. Your core is really firing, and your hamstrings and glutes are working to keep that pedal down. I like to do a little arch at the top. That's where I really have to work to keep the pedal down. Okay, so that's our basic bridge. You do these things on the floor. We do them on the reformer. We do them all over the place. Now we can do a suspended bridge, which is very challenging. Lots of core work needed. So we're going to go up into the bridge first. See if you can maintain that bridge and lift up a little bit so your feet float here. And now maintain that, and then slowly come down one vertebrae at a time. Oh my gosh, those hamstrings are really firing, those glutes. The slower you come down, the more work. And then lower it down. Whew. And I like to always start up first so you have a reference point, and then slowly let a little bit of weight come up. Use your hands too to push against the floor and suspend that bridge. Hold it there. If you want, you can do little pulses, but try not to bob in the body to push it down and up. It's very challenging. And then when you're ready, sustain that pedal as you slowly lower down. Ooh, this is killing me, but it's good. And then we slowly straighten the pedal out. Don't let it slam. Stretch out. Put your heels on the pedal for a good stretch. Bring your toes to you. You can even lift one leg up. Get a nice little hamstring stretch. Point and flex. You're going to need a stretch like that after that work. And stretch. Beautiful. And I'm going to just roll myself up. Okay, so we've worked our legs, we did hamstring work, we did some plank work to start warming up the core. We're going to get into a little bit more core work here. So we're going to sit facing our chair, legs are out to a V, and we're about arms width away from the chair. And you're going to sit up with your best posture as you pull the chair down and back up. And you're going to use your core. The key is as you pull down, you don't fall back, right? And you don't reach your chest forward to bring the chair up. So sit up with your best posture, draw these rib cages in, pull in that transverse muscle, zip up that pelvic floor, and pull it down. So these muscles that are making this happen are your anterior serratus muscles. Right under here, the armpits are firing. And these are the same muscles that when you do the 100 that you pump from. And the key that my core is keeping me sitting up straight in this work is where the core is working, and then the arms are firing too, so you're getting a little bit of arm workout here. Don't forget to breathe. And then of course you can come down and do little tiny pulses. This would be your little pulses that you do when you do the 100. Same muscle groups. And then release. When you release, you can just kind of stretch over. It feels really nice. And then when you're ready, sit back up. So this time, that was a lot of arms working and underneath the arms. This next work is going to be coming directly from the core. So it's going to be kind of like a Pilates crunch. So you're going to use your core to crunch this down, and the arms go along for the ride. And then you come back up, a forward flexion. Just like when you do the 100. Breathe out. It's your core that's crunching, that's making this happen. And then you can hold it here in the crunch, and you can do your little arm pulses, just like you would do in the 100. Forward flexion, core stability by pumping the arms. And then release. Okay, to make this a little bit more challenging, we can scoot forward, take your heels on top of the chair. It's a great stretch for those hamstrings, especially after doing those bridges. And then you grab onto the pedal and you crunch. A nice little V-sit, teaser style. Squeeze those thighs together, it will help you. And then of course, if you feel like you got it, you can lift the legs up and do your little pulses, just like the 100. And then when you're ready, release and come all the way down. Scoot forward and get a nice little stretch. And then we're going to come all the way up. Okay, I hope you're having fun at home. I am. We're going to move on into some work from the back side. So I'm going to have a seat here. Get in a little arm work here. So I'm going to reach back. I'm going to have my fingertips pointing towards to me. I'm going to lean back in it. The core is engaged. Make sure you do not fall back too far. You find a nice place that you can maintain your place, and then you're going to bend and straighten the elbow. So a little tricep work. The further you fall back, the more work for the core, and you'll get more movement in the arms for your tricep. The key is not to fall all the way back. And it's a nice tricep push. And then after you've done a few of those, you can come on up, stretch your legs out, and reach for your toes. Feels good. And then we can go for it again. Lean back to a nice place that you can maintain it, and then lift one leg up in tabletop. And you can do your little arm pulses. Tricep work. Your core is really stabilizing you here. And then of course you can switch legs whenever you're ready. And then if you feel comfortable enough to bring both legs up. And of course, if you want to go for a teaser without falling back, makes it even harder. You might do smaller movements, but at least you're doing it. Okay, good job. Stretch, get your nice little stretch in. We're going to just do a few more exercises because just doing that little bit is a total body workout for your body. The next thing we're going to do is a little balance work. So you notice I've kept this all on a 3, and that was hard enough. Think if I would have put more springs on, I probably could have done more work. I'd have more things to stabilize against as I pushed against it. So the fact that it was only on 1 spring on a 3 made me really shake to stabilize, use my body core to stabilize it. So here we're going to do some balance work. So we're going to start real easy. You're going to bring your foot onto the pedal, hands at your hip, the other leg's nice and strong, holding that core as you take this pedal down and up. So this thing wants to throw you off your balance. The fact that you're staying here doing this work is really good balance work. So you're also getting this great work in the legs. The quads are working to push it down. Your hamstrings are firing to bring it back up. And the standing leg is your stability work. And your core is really engaged to help you. And of course you can do little pulses. And then bring it up when you're ready. And then we'll switch sides. So the other leg gets a chance, and now you get to see which side you have better balance on. We usually always have one side better. As you work, make sure the knee goes right down in alignment over the middle toe. And if you had a mirror in front of you, which I happen to do, but not everybody does, but if you could, you want to make sure your hips are nice and stable. And of course, do your little pulses. And then release. Then we're going to bring the other foot on, and we're going to stretch the whole leg out. So this is going to be a lot more hammies. And to do this work, you may want to add some core. So you'll want to add a little forward fold, drawing in the core. And you're going to get actually an inner thigh squeeze. Think of your thighs coming together like scissors to make this happen. And again, your balance work is there because this pedal makes you want to throw you off your center. And you can feel the core firing and the connection from the core to the inner thigh. And of course you can do little pulses. And then come all the way up. And then switch. And don't forget your little lean forward. And as you can see, I can't go as far with this leg, but it's really needed. And little pulses. And then release. Nice. And then we can stretch all the way up, roll down, fold forward, hands on here, feet hip width apart. And we're going to just bring this down, and it's a great little stretch. As you push this down, your belly button's drawn deeper into your spine. And of course, you could do a little arm work, elbows go out. This will want to push you out of this nice little C curve. We call it a C curve. And then you can turn your elbows in, do a little bicep, tricep action. And then when you're ready, this will push you up, so slowly resist the push as you peel up, nice and easy, all the way up. And arms go back for a nice little stretch. Okay, so I did legs, I've done core, I've done my arms, and now I want to do a little back. So we're going to do Swan. So I'm going to kneel down on my box, and I'm going to lay right on top of it. So this edge goes right about where this joint is on my legs, and I'm going to roll on in, and you're going to push the pedal all the way down so your arms are straight. Squeeze your thighs together, and this is going to lift you up, and here comes your Swan. It will create a nice little back extension. Think of length, pulling out of the crown of your head, drawing your belly button in to support the low back, And then when you're ready, lower back down when you need a break. And then a little bit higher this next time if you can go. Squeeze those glutes and see if you can lift the thighs up too. Full swan, and you're always welcome to hold it here in this extension position as you do a little arm work again. Draw those belly buttons in, draw those rib cages in. Reach with those legs. And then when you're ready, come on down. Slowly slide your knees down to bring this back up. And just kind of sit back. You'll get a nice little stretch into child pose. Wonderful. Last thing we're going to do is a little bit of lifts. So this is where we want to add more spring on, okay? It's not to get more strength building, as you would think, as you add more resistance. It's more to give us a little lift to help us up. So we did start our session with our footwork here. And we were in Pilates, V. Pilates first, heels together, toes on. And our hands are on the chair. So you want to push down. This is more suspension work, and we're going to create a little lift. So if you can just lift up off the chair, use your core, this is a lot of work just to hold this. The pedal is actually helping you lift up, okay? And that's where we want more springs on. So just doing that is a lot of work. But if you can continue on to get this in and scoot yourself forward and do that lift, while you maintain this lift, you're going to push this down and up. So some froggies. Lots of work. Core is maintaining you with the lift, and so is the springs. You could stop the pedal from moving, and you could go into some arms, triceps, lowering down and up to do the work. So these are called lifts. There's a lot of lifts in the chair that can be done. You can also squeeze your glutes a little bit more and lift up a little higher and then do the work. This is going to get more into the hamstrings and glutes. Lots of core stability. These are very challenging. But that's why we add springs. So as I took springs off, if I wanted to work harder in that work, I would take springs off because it would be me, my core, my body doing the lift, not the springs lifting me up, okay? So we did it the back way. We can also do it the front way. So you're going to bring the pedal all the way down, make sure it's on the ground, and then bring the other foot up. And again, 2 springs will give you a good lift. You don't want to put too many springs on that. You get thrown forward. But you want to use the springs as assisting, not resisting you here. And you're just going to just bring your body weight just a little bit forward. Use your core and lift up. So you can go all the way up, letting the springs lift your hips up to the heavens. You can stop it here and do the knee bends, which are the frogs. Either one. You can even do arms, right? Bending and straightening the arms. So this is how you get your total body workout. Lots of core just to hold you in this position. And then when you're ready to come off, foot comes on the ground, slowly bring the pedal up so it doesn't slam up, okay? If you wanted to make all that work harder, you would lower your springs down. You would do it in just 1 spring. Makes it more challenging. So basically we just did a full body workout on this Wunda chair. Now you understand how the springs work, how the exercise work, and you always need to assess what exercise you're trying to achieve on this to whether to add springs or take it off. Thank you very much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next time.